Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you happen to be watching us, listening to us. R&R is back for 2024, the only CX podcast you need, with my good self, Ryan Huxtable, and the imbutable, the
Oh,
beautiful, the
I don't know.
stunning.
I don't know what any of that means. However, it's me, Rich Knight. So, hello everybody, and welcome again. Yes, to the CX podcast, R&R. It's great to see you again in this new year that we have here, Mr. Huxtable, 2024.
I know.
Blimey, hey,
I know.
that is
Thankfully, it's not 2025 because 2025 is quite a big year
right.
on the birthday front. So I still can claim to have a birthday with a four in front of it. So that's good. So I'm feeling good
Yeah,
about.
you've got to be 60 by now, haven't you? In
Well, I feel
2025,
yeah,
I mean,
I
look
feel
at,
yeah. It's,
So,
it's the white beard.
I was going to say, yeah, I can't talk actually. Um, what are we going to be warbling about today? Because we've got to get on with this. We've got to give these lovely listeners something to think about over the
Well,
next months
we
until our
have,
next podcast.
but before we do that,
Hmm.
that background isn't really where you are, is it?
No, I'm actually holidaying at the moment because I am such a stalwart and want to be committing to this podcast. I'm actually I'm recording live in France from the Alps, and have just been out on the slopes, and enjoying a few little cheeky beers whilst I'm out here as well.
No,
Oh, but no cider
no
down
cider,
this
no
far
cider.
south in France.
I think I speak for all of our listeners by saying, well,
Yes.
that's love for you.
But it's all good. It's all good. And yes, I thought we'd take half an hour to have a warble and see what we're going to do about 2024. What are the main things we're going to be talking about? And
Well, so just on that point, and some listeners may not be surprised by what I'm about to say, which is we never really rehearse anything. We just warble, don't we? So we haven't
no,
really
well,
rehearsed
that's the
anything
idea.
other than we want to talk about what. So what do you think can happen in 2024 then, Mr. Knight?
Now, well, we spoke with our colleague Ian Kelsall pre-Crimbo, didn't we, about sort
Did
of trends and things like that. And I've been having a little bit of a think about it over the Christmas period. What's going to be going on, and all these things are happening. And I'm still hearing more about AI and the impact it's going to have, and X number of people aren't going to have a job soon because AI is going to take over, and so on. And I was thinking to myself, with the key thing from the customer experience point of view is that we have still got to make sure that we are focusing on human interaction. Now, whether there's going to be other interaction through AI and all those sort of things, yes, there is, but there's still going to be human interaction because we're human beings and we do that sort of thing. Ultimately, the customer is a real person. So therefore, there has to be at some point, whether it's a bot communicating with a real person or as a real person communicating with a person, that's the key thing we need to be focusing on. And unfortunately, I think there are firms who are already going down this route of, well, it's going to be AI, so let's drive more money into the tech and let's not worry about the human interaction piece. But we still know that 90% of purchase decisions are based on emotion.
yeah.
So it's got to be focused on. So I think as a broad starting point, that's where I'm coming from. Don't forget the people.
I think that's a really interesting point because we are speaking. What's the date today? On the 19th of January, and there was some data that came out this morning about which have done a customer service survey on energy suppliers, and there's one particular energy supplier, British Gas, they haven't done particularly well. They've only come out as a three star provider, whereas their competitor Octopus has come out as a five-star provider. And I'm sure many of you have heard the Octopus ads, but they talk about their USP being all about service, and they've got some testimonials and so on and so forth. And I have to say, I'm not surprised because I'm an Octopus customer. I was a British Gas customer. I left British Gas because of the service about 5 years ago.
Mm.
I've never been back. Now, some of you might be sat there thinking, well, that's a bit unfair. You've not given them another go. But the reality is, I'm so happy with the service experience I get with Octopus.
Yeah.
They are competitively priced. I can get hold of someone by ringing them. Their website is easy to use. I can upload my meter readings really simply. They get me a
Yeah.
free bill of the old swingometer to get me some free gas. And actually, it's a really pleasant client journey you have with them. So I have no need, I have no want to leave. And so when I read that today, and I thought, if you think about how difficult for businesses like British Gas and others make it to communicate with them, to find a person to speak to interact with when you have a problem.
Yeah.
No wonder people are voting with their feet and leaving in their thousands to go to another provider.
And interestingly enough, just remembered with your story there, my father, who is in his 85th year on this fine planet of ours, has just changed from British Gas. After being with them for 43 years,
wow,
he has gone to Octopus.
Wow.
And purely because of that whole idea of it's too much like hard work. And of course, there was a generation of people, my father included, as we can see, being there for 43 years, who generally go, oh, don't worry, we'll just stick there. It's fine. That generation are not going to be around much longer. It is much easier for your customers to switch. Doesn't matter what you provide them. Doesn't make a jot of difference. If you're an attraction, and you've got memberships for people could come for the year, they get into the end of their memberships of a year and go, no, I just can't be bothered anymore because it's not worth it. I'm not getting the things that I want in terms of all of that interaction. So therefore I'll go to another attraction and sign up for them. Doesn't matter what you're doing. So yeah, this loyalty piece, and loyalty really, really big part, isn't it? In terms of making sure people hang around. Professional services, we talk about them a lot. In 2024, hanging on to customers is really important because, again, it's 6 times more expensive to find a new customer. And we say this every other podcast, don't we? We use it. We say these things again and again and again, and still firms do not get it. It's that idea. Well, but we're getting custom, we get money, so it's okay. It's not okay because people have got very long memories now. And because it's so easy to shift, and social media and all of this tech stuff that's coming through, they're going to go. They're going to disappear.
I think the other dynamic that's at play here is you mentioned choice, and where you can lose your business too effectively. I still think when I look at B2B clients or business or B2C clients, because firms are busy, because they may have a lack of staff because it's difficult to recruit, because and then that makes them feel artificially busy because they haven't got enough people to service the work. I think the biggest challenge that a lot of businesses that we speak to have got is some of them just don't know. Some of them aren't engaging and asking the question about what the service experience was like.
Yeah.
But because they've got money coming through the door now, they think, well, it must be all right because we've got clients. And the British Gas example I've just given is a classic example of, well, we're busy, we've got clients, so everything's okay. Where they haven't clocked that. I bet you they'll have a customer experience or customer service strategy somewhere in a drawer that they're going to sort of get out, dust off, and blow the dust off it. The reality is, as we know, and again, you're right, we've said this a number of times, if you don't have a strategic plan to engage with customers and listen to what they want and then make the relevant changes within your organization, you aren't going to understand who your customers really are. And therefore, if you don't understand, you can't give them what they want, they're not going to spend money with you. So it sounds very simple, but the old adage, plan, do, review, if you have a plan and do it and then review it, it's very likely that you will have a very successful client strategy. And it's fascinating that some businesses just don't engage in that strategic work, do they?
No, because it does take a bit of effort. So we've done a financial planning. We know what the money is we need. We've done all of those sort of things, so that's okay. That sort of fits in, doesn't it? And well, we do marketing, so that's got something to do with customers, so that's okay as well. Got to be very clear here in 2024 with any of the businesses listening out there. Marketing planning versus customer planning are different things. Yes, they work together, and if you do them well, they will drive each other's outputs really, really well. But majority of firms forget about looking at it from a customer point of view. It's that market research piece of well, yeah, these are our customers, that's what we know, and this is how we word an advert. Brilliant. But how do you think that customer's going to feel What are they thinking? What are they doing? What's getting in the way of them staying with you? What's working really well? How can you duplicate that? Make it so there's lots and lots on those customers' journeys, as we've spoken about previously, that we've got to think about, and planning that is critical. And interestingly enough, just for people listening, on the 7th of February on Eventbrite, we have got a planning for customer success webinar, which will be running at 12 o'clock for half an hour, just giving some ideas and actually some practical tips in terms of how you can plan for great customer success. And it's a matter of very simply reviewing, what's been going on, changing things if you need to, and then running it and seeing how it works. So it's it's all that reviewing piece. It's just a cyclical nature, and a lot of people don't do that. They just do it once and go, well, we've done it. It's done, innit? Tick.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? That go back to this planning piece, and listeners before we came on, as we've mentioned, Mr. Knight is sunning himself in the snowy mountains of the French Alps. But told a fantastic story, which I'll let him share in a minute, about how one of the biggest retailers, or the biggest retailer on the planet, constantly invests in customer strategy and customer journey, and makes it so easy that you can order a product from your French ski chalet on your account. Do you want to share more about that, Mr. Knight?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it is a great example of it. When it's done well, when you're planning, it can then be put across different countries in different ways for different environments, cultures, whatever it is. And when you're stupid enough to leave your petrol cap on top of your car at a fueling station and drive away, you need to get another one. Always a bit of a problem. Obviously, I don't know who did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I arrive in resort and thinking, well, I've got to go and find one of these. I can't bung it up with the paper anymore. I've got to do this. I could go down the road and use my fantastically rubbish pidgin French to actually try and get one of these things, or let's go on to Mr. Amazon, Mr. and Mrs. Amazon, and see what they can do for me. 2 days later, on the doorstep of our chalet was the fuel cap. Fitted it, done, dusted.
Yeah.
Okay, and that cost me 10 minutes in time, about 20 quid to order it up and do all of that. And actually, there was a delivery charge, and it was about 3 quid. You people talk a lot of the time about the evil monster that is Amazon and all these big corporations, but they do the thing that actually impacts the customer. They plan for it. They enable people to. It's easy, isn't it? It's easy. It's so easy. I didn't even need to leave my chalet. I do to go skiing, but that's another matter. But yeah, absolutely. So this is it. This is the big thing. It's not like a bolt from the blue. But I think what we're trying to say to everybody listening is: have you planned? Have you planned for your customers' success?
Yeah, I mean, the key messages for 24 are: have you got a plan, and is it easy for your customers to use you? Simple as that.
Yeah.
Those businesses that get that right in 24 will be very successful, despite of AI and new tech and all that. You can bring as much tech and AI into the business as you want. If it's not simple and it's not easy, and customers don't understand it, they won't use you. They'll go down the road and find another solution.
Love it.
So when are you back in Blighty? Are you back for the next episode, or are you in
Yes,
Spain?
no, I'll be back grounded again for our next episode in February. So and actually we may have a guest on that particular one as well. I'll leave that hanging. So and we'll let you know closer to that time. But I think that's us done and dusted for today. Warble over.
Warble over. We'll get you back on the slopes.
Yeah, well, a bit late now. I might just have to have a cheeky little beer.
Nice.
Thanks very much for listening. I've been Rich Knight.
And I've been Ryan Huxtable. Have a great month.